Hello everyone, my name is Shoaib Imran. Today I wanted to walk you through the code package content of this work involving semantic aided communication. We will go step by step as mentioned in the README uploaded on GitHub. So we'll first download scenario 5 and scenario 7 of the DeepSense 6G dataset. The link is given below, so let's click on the link, open it in a new tab, and we will essentially download scenarios 5 and scenario 7. So let's open scenario 5 in a new tab, and let's also open scenario 7 in a new tab. You will see the download button on scrolling down. So here's the download button for scenario 5. Similarly, scroll down and you will see the download button for scenario 7. Let's click on it. And essentially, when you click this download button, it will start the download for scenario 5 dataset. And when you click on this download button, it will start the download for scenario 7. We've already downloaded the data, so I will not click on the download button again. Let me show you where the data set is. So I've created a folder in a certain directory. I've created a folder by the name of dataset, in which we'll find that I have placed the scenario 5 and scenario 7 dataset. Just one note over here that when you download the scenario 7 dataset, it will be in a folder called dev 95%. But I've just renamed it to scenario 7. Other than that, the contents within the folder are the same both for scenario 5 and scenario 7. So let's go back to the GitHub. Now the next step is to download the repository into a directory and extract the dataset into the repository directory. So you can download the repository by going to this option and click on download. Again, since I've already downloaded the repository, we will not download it again. But essentially what you need to do is click on this download zip. It will download a zip file containing the GitHub repository. And what you need to do is to extract that repository into a directory in your local system. So we have done that, as you can see. Sorry. So as you can see, this repository is being cloned or downloaded and extracted into this directory. And this directory had the dataset in it as well. Since we'll be working with Colab notebooks, I have copied all of this, this folder into a drive, into my Google Drive, because I'll be using Google Colabs. But if you want, you can do it in your local system. You can do it on Google Colab. Essentially, this is a directory as well in some system. So let's go back to GitHub. Now, step 3 says to run these 3 notebooks to generate the bounding boxes and mask for scenario 7 and scenario 5 of the DeepSense dataset. So let's upload these notebooks in Google Colab. Let's open Google Colab. So we need to open 3 notebooks. Let me... Okay. So let's just upload the 3 notebooks that we have. So let's upload the first notebook. This is the first one. Let's then upload the second notebook. And let's upload the third notebook. So we have to run this notebook. Let's run it. And the drive will be mounted to the directory where we had the GitHub repository and the dataset. So let it connect and I'll show you. As you can see, the drive contains the GitHub repository and the dataset. So let's run the other cells. Now what this cell will do is will generate all the file names of the images. So all the file names are generated. Then what this cell will do is that it will generate the bounding boxes of the cards and store the bounding box coordinates in a data frame. So this will take some time to run. I'll interrupt in execution. By then it would contain 5 or 10 samples of cars, the bounding boxes essentially. So let me interrupt the execution. Let me show you the data frame, what format it will be in. So it's actually converted to a CSV file. So let's open the CSV file instead. As you can see, so it would do for all the samples, but right now, since we interrupted execution, it could only do for 8 samples. So it had a label, the starting column, the ending column of the bounding box, and the starting row and the ending row of the bounding box. Just before giving it to a neural net, you would have to normalize it, which you can do later. This is essentially what the output of will be for this notebook. Let's go to the second notebook. And since this will take a long time to, okay, let's start from the second notebook. Let's go step by step. So again, this will be mounted to the same drive. Let's go to the second notebook. And since this will take a long time to, okay, let's start from the second notebook. Let's go step by step. So again, this will be mounted to the same drive, the drive containing the repository and the dataset. Essentially, again, you can all do this in your local system. That's perfectly fine. And let me connect the Google Drive. Let me also mention that we did this for scenario 7 for the first notebook, and you also need to do it for scenario 5. So you need to do it for both scenarios. What you will essentially do is that you will change this number to 5 and rerun the code. That will generate the bounding boxes for mobile net on scenario 5 dataset. So you'll not do it, but it's everything is same. Just change this number. Similarly, we will be generating the masks using mobile net architecture for on the scenario 5 dataset. But essentially, if you will change this number over here, it will do it and rerun everything. It will do it for scenario 7 as well. Okay. So let's run the next. So it will print all the file names on which the mark of the on which our model will run and whose mask will be generated. We'll go to file names are there, and let's run this. So I've commented this line. Otherwise, the mask would have been saved, and they're already saved. So I don't want to interfere with my data. That's why I've commented this line. But what this cell would essentially do is that it will save the mask for all the images within this file names. Okay, so let's run this just to show it works. So essentially what it would be doing is that it would be saving the masks in a directory which you have specified. Okay. First, this whole model will load and it will run, but that it will be doing. So I'll interrupt execution. Then let's run the third notebook. Now this will take a while. So I will essentially run it all. Again, you have to do it for both scenario 5 and scenario 7. So we are only doing for scenario 5, but you would have to do it for scenario 7 as well. All you would have to do is just change this number to 7. Okay. So this notebook has now run to the cell up to the cell where we want it to. So this cell will actually go to each file, okay, printed in this file name, and then it would find the mask using the LOV model and the bounding box of the cards. It will store the mask in a directory and it will store the bounding boxes in a CSV file. So this cell, as you can imagine, it will take some time to run. So we will interrupt execution, and I'll just show you the CSV file, the bounding box file, and the file containing the bounding box vectors. So yeah, so let's convert this data frame to CSV, and as you can see over here, it contained the name of the mask. Okay, it was the mask name is the same as is kept the same as the image name, but it's stored in a certain directory. But more importantly, it contains the bounding box coordinates. This CSV file or this pandas data frame. This is the column which the bounding box starts. This is the column where the bounding box ends. This is the row where the bounding box starts, and this is the row where the bounding box ends. So essentially, by running these three notebooks, what you will get is bounding. What you will get are the bounding boxes and the masks from the models of ULOV7 and mobile net for scenarios 5 and scenarios for scenario 5 and scenario 7. So we ran it for scenario 5. As if you want to run for scenario 7, which you would be, all you need to do is just change this number to 7. Okay. So let's go to GitHub again. And the next step is to reproduce the, so we will reproduce the results. So it says to reproduce the results, run this eval main beam.py or eval main position beam y codes in the semantic marks bounding box code folder. Okay, so essentially what it's saying is that in this folder it contains some evaluation codes and we need to run it. So I'll open a separate Colab notebook for this, and we'll run each code one by one. So you can do this step in your terminal as well, in a local system. As I've been saying, I've just that I've been using Notepad notebook, Colab notebook, but other system would work perfectly fine as well. So let me mount my drive first. Let me connect my Google Drive. Take some time. Okay, and so this is the folder which contains the evaluation codes. So it contains, as you see, it contains two subfolders, one for bounding box, one for masks. So let's for bounding box, there'll be scenario 5 and scenario 7 as expected. So first, let's go for scenario 5. Let's go to scenario 5. Let's go to the saved folder. The saved folder contains the checkpoint, contains the saved model, which we'll be using to reproduce the result. So, and you can train it using these files. But if you want to just reproduce the results, you can run this evaluation code basically. So let's set our directory to this folder. Yeah. And let's run this evaluation code. So yeah. So what we're doing is we are essentially running the evaluation code, which will reproduce the results. The code will use bounding boxes of scenario 5, okay, which it will output the top 3, top 2, and top 1 beam prediction accuracy. So let's run these codes. Okay, so we need to have Qt as well. Let's terminate the other sessions because we don't need it anymore. Okay, reconnect. And let's run these sessions again. I think we'll need to mount to the directory again as well. No, we won't. While it's running, let me go to the directory again. And see it reproduces these results. Okay, let's do it. We did it for scenario 5. Let's redo it for scenario 7. The steps are the same. So the saved folder, let's mount our directory to this folder. So copy path and we'll essentially be running this code. So let's copy its path. And so let's run it again. So see, it reproduces the average top one, top two, and top three accuracy. We ran it for bounding box. Now let's run it for masks. So we go to mask beam. Let's do it for scenario 5 first. And let's go to the safe folder containing the safe model and the evaluation code. Let's mount a directory to that folder. So let's paste the path over here. Okay. And let's run this code. Yeah. And as we can see, it has given the top one, top two, and top three beam prediction accuracies. Let's just do it one last time for scenario 7. So mask beam scenario 7, saved folder. Again, let's mount a directory to it. So yeah. And so let's run it. And here we can see the top one, top two, and top three beam prediction accuracies are printed over here. This was done using the safe model, of course. Let's go to GitHub again, find the next step. So in case that's the final step. So the final step is for scenario 5 and scenario 7. Run this notebook in this folder. So what essentially we want to reproduce the results, so we'll be essentially running this notebook, and it's found in this folder. So this folder, you essentially need to run this notebook. Okay. So let me open this in a collab setup. Let's run it on. Let the GPU connect. There are too many sessions, so let's terminate the other sessions. Okay, let's reconnect and turn on essentially. And again, you need to do it for both scenario 5 and scenario 7. Over here, we'll only do it for scenario 7, but essentially just replace this number with 5 and we'll be doing it for scenario 5. So let's run on. I guess I'll just essentially skip to the results where it produces the results to save time. Okay, and as you can see, the top one, top two, and top three beam prediction accuracies are predicted, and that completes the walkthrough for this code setup. Thank you for watching.